Is the second Bundesliga the best league in the world, or Bundesliga 2? I'm guessing it's kind of like Serie B in Italy. We got Serie A, and then the lower league is Serie B. I don't know. You gotta tell me. We will just figure out in the video. I never watched a game of the second Bundesliga. So, yeah, we're gonna see what this is all about. Come on.
If you were to think of some of the best domestic football leagues across the world, you'd probably name leagues like the Premier League, the Bundesliga, the Serie A, or La Liga. Most of world football's best ever teams play in these leagues. These leagues for the most part have the most money, can attract the best players, and overall have the best standard of football. But this doesn't always translate into good entertainment, as we observed with Man City against Arsenal just less than a week ago. Today we take a look at the second tier of German football, the Bundesliga 2, home to some of Germany's most historically rich clubs, crazy fan bases, an incredibly interesting league table, and a few other quirks that set it apart.
Wow! Schalke is playing in the second Bundesliga now, was relegated.
And a few other quirks
Schalke to be dispelled from Germany's professional leagues. Why?
that set it apart from other leagues. Now, first of all, we need to take a look at just how tight this league table is. A staggering 10 points separates 17th place on 29 points and 8th place on 39 points, leaving the relegation battle absolutely wide open. Bear in mind,
Even Hamburg, what the hell? Even Hanover, Düsseldorf, Karlsruhe, Hertha Berlin. Hertha Berlin, this one, right? That's crazy. I mean, I remember like, I don't know, a long time ago, like 10 or 15 years ago, I used to watch all the league of football. Then, yeah, after a while, I got too busy. I was just watching Juventus pretty much because I'm a Juventus fan. And yeah, I mean, I remember most of these teams playing in the Bundesliga. Wow, that's crazy.
Schalke are one of the teams that are on the verge of being relegated. There'll be more on that later in the video. And just looking through the league table, it's crazy the amount of teams that were previously established in the Bundesliga that now find themselves in the second Bundesliga. It's kind of scary. Teams like Schalke, Nuremberg, Hertha Berlin, Hanover, Dusseldorf, Hamburg. It definitely makes the games an interesting watch. Now, there's nothing worse than watching a football match, and the atmosphere in the ground is completely and utterly flat. You can hear a pin drop. A majority of the time, it usually coincides with a relatively flat or boring game. Even though in certain circumstances, maybe certain games in certain situations, the Premier League can have great atmospheres, depending on the stadium. However, the vast majority of the time, it falls relatively flat. But you will not be disappointed with the atmosphere and the fans in the Bundesliga 2. The fans across the board, to be honest, in the league are really, really good. But in particular, the fans for FC Magdeburg, oh my god. Insane. Really? Crazy. Bearing in mind, they currently sit in 12th place, just 3 points off the relegation zone. And look at the fans. At this point, they're a mid-table club that are basically almost fighting for relegation this season. If we compare that to the Championship, just close your eyes, okay? Close your eyes now. And picture a mid-table clash at Ewood Park. You wouldn't get that sort of atmosphere. Let's just take a little look at the average attendances in the Bundesliga 2. Schalke.
That is crazy! Bro, pretty much every game, every stadium is almost packed. Look! Except in Berlin. In Berlin, they don't give a fuck about football. They are too posh, right?
At the top with 61,000. Crazy.
What the hell?
Then we have Hamburg, 55,000. Hertha Berlin, 48,000. Kaiserslautern. I'm really sorry, I apologise. I don't mean to offend anyone. I just can't pronounce that. Still 43,000, which is insane.
Wow.
Dusseldorf, 38,000. Nuremberg, 34,000. Hanover, 35,000. An average attendance of 28,700 in the second tier of German football. That is ridiculous. And when you compare the average attendances to the capacity of the stadium, you realise that majority of them are completely full. And at worst, they may be 80% full. When you compare that to...
Yeah, but I think even in Italy, in Serie B, is the same.
The Championship in England, or even the Premier League for some clubs, they don't really come near. Anyway, the two biggest clubs in the Bundesliga 2, realistically, are Schalke and Hamburg. Regardless of the league positioning, it's basically facts. Let's just forget Hamburg for now because they're not on the brink of going into liquidation. But Schalke most probably are. At the moment, they're 3 points above the relegation zone. They're on the brink of relegation. Being one of the biggest clubs in Germany and attendance-wise, still actually one of the most followed clubs in the world, that would be an absolute disaster. I'm not going to get too much into the history and exactly why they've got into the position that they're in. But briefly, they had very good academy talent. They didn't give them... Basically, they just didn't renew the contracts. So all of that talent left on freeze. They ended up losing around about 100 to 150 million that they could have actually gained from selling those players rather than letting them leave on freeze. They made a series of terrible investments where they'll spend 10 to 15 million on a player. A couple of seasons later, they'll sell him for a couple of million or just let him go on a...
They managed to... Yeah, they're still in the... They didn't go down. Schalke. What were the team? No. Not really clear. I mean, they're right 10th in the league, so... What's the thing? Wait. 31 points after 27 games. Yeah, I mean, they didn't do too bad at the end.
Both the relegations. And now they find themselves in between 150 and 160 million euros worth of debt and about to be relegated. And that is why they're essentially being refused the licensing to play in the Bundesliga 3. Because they're in too much debt. And they think if they go into the Bundesliga 3, they're going to go into liquidation halfway through the season and not even finish the league season. There's probably a little bit more to it than that, and there most definitely is, but to sum it up, that's how they've got there. So they can't get relegated. If they get relegated, that I don't even know what to say. We've seen teams in England like Bury get liquidated, and you know Bury have been around for a long time, but of course they've never really reached the heights of Schalke. And as you can imagine, at this point, they don't really play the greatest football if they're really struggling in the second Bundesliga. But it's a very, very interesting watch because they simply cannot lose. They've got to win and they've got to stay up. And if they don't, then...
Wow, that's really incredible, Schalke, to be in this situation right now. When you think about German footballists in Italy, you always think of Schalke as one of the best teams from Germany. Wow.
The consequences are really dire. Watching a team who played the likes of Manchester City in a Champions League knockout stage just a matter of 5 years ago in a relegation battle in the second Bundesliga is just absurd. Now let's just talk about Hamburg for a little bit because their situation is different but also not great. Now just to put into perspective how big of a club Hamburg really are, they are 6-time German champions, 3-time DFB Pokal winners, and
I know what you're gonna say, son of a bitch. I know who they won it. Oh my god, I know who they won it against.
But also winners of the European Cup, which is the modern day Champions League, in 1982 to 1983. Hamburg were relegated from the Bundesliga to the Bundesliga 2 in 2018. It doesn't seem like long ago, but that's 6 years they've been...
I wasn't born yet, but that's sad. Come on, I was a Juventus fan even prior to be born.
to get back into the Bundesliga. 6 years they've tried and failed. They currently sit in 4th place, 1 point off Dusseldorf in 3rd, and 7 points off 2nd place, meaning promotion looks rather unlikely this season. In a crazy turn of events last season, Hamburg would beat SV Sandhausen 1-0 in the final day of the season. The Hamburg fans invaded the pitch thinking they'd gain promotion to the Bundesliga. However, Heidenheim's game had not finished. They actually had 11 minutes of injury time. They were 2-1 down at the start of injury time when Hamburg thought that they gained promotion. However, Heidenheim pulled one back and then actually scored the winner in the 9th minute of stoppage time to not only win the Bundesliga 2, but deny Hamburg of automatic promotion. While their situation is better than Schalke's, it's still not good. And just to rub salt in Hamburg wounds, if you look at the top of the Bundesliga 2, there sits FC St. Pauli. Hamburg's smaller and local rivals. You literally couldn't make it up. Now, stepping away from clubs in specific, let's just talk about German football. Now, German fans wear their hearts on their sleeve. They are visually the most passionate fans in the world. It doesn't mean to say that English football fans aren't as passionate, or Spanish football fans aren't as passionate, or Italian football fans aren't as passionate, or French football fans aren't as passionate. It's just how they display it. If German football fans see something that they don't like, if they think their league or their game is headed in the wrong direction, they will let the governing authority know, whereas in other leagues it is kind of hard for people to group together and get that point across for whatever reason. And that sort of camaraderie definitely translates into their fans in general. And like we've mentioned, that doesn't just stop when you go down from the Bundesliga. If anything, it's almost amplified. Now, something else that I do like about the Bundesliga 2 is the fact that they have VAR. At least make it consistent. What? Now, another aspect that is really interesting in German football, not only the Bundesliga 2, but also, I guess this involves the Bundesliga, is the way teams are relegated from the Bundesliga and promoted from the Bundesliga 2. This is the Bundesliga table from last season, and of course Hertha Berlin and Schalke got relegated. Stuttgart finished 16th, which meant they essentially went into a relegation or... yeah, basically just a relegation playoff. And if we look to the Bundesliga 2 table from last season, as you can see the top two get promoted, then the third place team plays the 16th place team in the Bundesliga. Of course, Stuttgart won because Hamburg didn't get promoted.
I'm not sure, but I think we do the same in... Wait, do we do the same in Italy too? I think so. I don't remember, but I think we do the same thing too.
But if Hamburg would have won, Hamburg would have also got promoted.
But it's different because like the first two go direct in Italy, and then no, I think we don't do that anymore. There was a period where we used to do that, but then the third to the sixth in Italy, they were playing against each other, and then who's gonna win, like a mini tournament, and who's gonna win is gonna be the one that goes to Serie A.
And then Stuttgart would have been relegated into the Bundesliga 2. Another aspect that makes for definitely some very interesting playoff games. And that is the Bundesliga 2, a very entertaining league that consists of a ton of historically rich clubs that have found themselves in rather unfortunate situations. Granted, the quality of football and the standard of football might not be as good as the Bundesliga and other top leagues, considering it is the second tier of German football, regardless of the teams that are actually in the league, they've found themselves in the second tier for a reason. But for entertainment factor, this league has got to be one of the best. Anyway, that brings us just about to the end of today's video. If you did enjoy this video, then maybe you should take a look at my previous video on screen now. A video where we took a look at oil money and FFP in football. Anyway, this video did take quite a while to make, so if you did enjoy, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one.
That was really interesting. I really enjoyed this video. So, yeah, I want to watch, I don't know. I feel like I want to watch some more German football, you know, maybe some documentaries about, I don't know, Bayern München from the top of my head, since... I mean, last year Bayer Leverkusen won the Bundesliga, but most all the year prior to that was always Bayern München to win it. So yeah, that was crazy. And yeah, maybe even some videos about some videos about I don't know, the German fans, German ultras. It could be very interesting. We should definitely be checking out more football. So yeah, let me know your suggestions down below in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe also to the channel. Come on, we're closer to 400. That's crazy. So thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you very soon.